This is Carl, doing my episode 1 spoiler review of Loki on Disney Plus. I've been gearing up for this for the longest time. I even make sure like I'm kind of mentally prepped for it. That's why I did the Vote Loki comic book review last week. You can check that out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/, talkative Carl. If you want to check out that, give that a look see. But this one, oh my god, I gotta admit, so far I'm digging this, and I just hope, unlike WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, where there was, they're great within their own rights. It's just stuff is like separate issues that I have with those two shows. One with Falcon and Winter Soldier, where they feel like they kind of either rushed certain things or skipped over or just like brushed past. Like with Sharon Carter, it's like, with the whole power broker thing, it's like, wow, you kind of like, with the limited amount of episodes, you didn't really, put in enough time with her, or at least how she get to this point. There's some gaps that wasn't filled in. And then with WandaVision, spoiler alert, and this is full spoilers here on everything, but they dropped the ball with the whole Quicksilver thing. Like, either use them or not use them. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It was not satisfactory to me, and I think a lot of people agree. Where it's like you treat them like a boner joke, and it's like, even if you were going to do that, at the very least, don't cast the same dude who played him in another X-Men franchise. You're getting them people's souls up for nothing, and you can't put it on the people watching and stuff. You set it up. You didn't even have to do that. I mean, I think most people would agree they would rather not you do it than just, teased us like that for no good reason, for no payoff. But anyway, episode 1 of Loki starts off with, Loki going through, they showing little clips of what transpired in Endgame with during the trying to get the Tesseract during 2012, during the New York incident when the Chitauri attacked New York, and Loki grabbed the Tesseract and poured it out. Then we cut to the moment where he teleported to the Gapi Desert, and you got the time variant cops, and of course they arrest him, taking him because he's powerless against their time powers, I guess, or at least time tools. And they brought him to this kind of pocket dimension. It's like, there's this outside of time, and it was a nice funny moments. And he just like, I love Tom Hiddleston, but the fact that they put him in this little these little bureaucratic little motions, and just so funny. It's like the worst DMV experience of your life. They like had this robot obliterate his clothes so he can be put it into this little tube thing, and put into some like prison clothes almost. And then of course, like, you got you seen it in the trailers, like, had this dude behind the desk, like, please verify and sign, this is all that you said. What? Sign here too. It's, and it's like the monotone voice is like if you ever been to the DMV and know exactly what you're dealing with, this is like exactly like the DMV. Almost, it's like multiplied times like 10. uh and then he's, then he's at this little line. Well, it's not even a line, he's like just two people there, and grab a ticket. And it's like one dude, a front of him didn't grab a ticket, he just, darted up to the front, giving one of the guards flack, and then he just erased them from resistance. Like, oh my god. And it's like, and then you hear like the speaker people, like, the speaker, announcer thing, please have your tickets ready. Ticket. It was, it's like, can you imagine DMVs? It's like, you will be, I will never complain about the DMV ever again if after witnessing something like this. It kind of reminds me of Beetlejuice, where it's like, even that was tame by comparison to this. They look like the writers looked at what they did with Beetlejuice at the end of Beetlejuice, where it's like, he's sitting there grabbing a ticket and he's waiting in line for his turn. They literally took that, and it's like, how can we take that and push it further? And it's like, yeah, disintegrate somebody if they get out of line. And you got these little, like, it's kind of like the Jurassic Park little, rundown of what the TVA is, Time Variance Authority. It's kind of like Mr. DNA. It's very cool. I always find that style kind of appealing in this retro way. It's pretty much because a couple weeks ago, because I didn't really know about the Time Variance Authority. It's like they very, like, not minor, but it's kind of like a very lesser known, even lesser known than probably even Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not sure if Jack Kirby created Time Variance, because like from like highlights of comic panels I've seen, the artwork is very Jack Kirby-ish, so I'm assuming he created them. And I think Jennifer Walters is like the only one that, like, I've heard of that actually even interacted with the Time Variance. Kind of similar the way Loki is dealing with them right now. But pretty much what they are responsible for is making sure like time flows in its natural course. Prior to, because there's like these kind of like three ancient beings that created Time Variance Authority, because prior to that, all these different multiversal timelines was colliding into each other, and in danger of collapsing various multiversal universes. So the Time Variance Authority is responsible for making sure each timeline is on their own little path. Anytime something veers off, they step in to put it back in place. Or if they veer off and does a very significant amount of damage, they erase them completely, which in some comic highlights that I've seen, they have done that. uh uh so then you got like Owen Wilson's character Mobius, uh who's on this kind of like a CSI slash Law and Order type of investigation going on, where there's this variant uh in the different timelines. One is in like 1850, 1860 France, and he's asking his kid, who was only witness to seeing the time variant cops that was previously there being slaughtered, who apparently was slaughtered, and they sitting there like trying to figure out what happened. And it points to this stained glass window where it's like this devilish looking uh uh individual appeared on there. And once again, a lot of people, like you see on Twitter, is trending right now, is like, oh, it's Mephisto. It's like, here's my very quickly, writers of ever since like the WandaVision situation with like they assume Mephisto because Mephisto has like dealings with Wanda and her kids before in the past in the comics, and it's like and they didn't really do that. They they played around with it. That's another thing. Besides the whole Quicksilver thing, they played around with it, and it's like if you're not gonna do it, don't bother teasing anybody because you're playing with people's emotions, and it's like and I hear people talking like, well, you know, like you shouldn't jump to conclusions. Wouldn't jump to the conclusions if they don't play like that. It's like, uh, it's like, I don't know. What's a perfect example? Like in Batman Begins, when they're like they're, you know, hinting on like that Joker card at the end of it. But then if the sequel didn't have the Joker in it at all? Okay, then what's the point of having that little thing there if you're not going to actually fulfill on it? That's what I mean. Like, don't do it or do it. That's your two options. But anyway, right now it's trending right now. So if they're going to like, you know, bring in Mephisto in some capacity, they better do at the very least a cameo. If it's not exactly him, don't do it. But anyway, Owen Wilson watching Loki pretty much on trial, being guilty of being like messing with the Tesseract and jumping out of his natural course of the timeline, which well we see in the MCU where he leads to up to the point of Infinity War, that was his natural progression. But since he took the Tesseract, he veered off in like a very noticeable manner to them, because they usually step in because of a significant branch off in a timeline that wasn't supposed to happen. Because you know Loki mentions that, well, how come the Avengers are not here? They clearly are messing with time because I could smell Tony Stark's cologne. You know, I know Tony Stark's there was two Tony Starks. I could smell the same cologne on two individuals. It was clearly, you know, there's two clear Avengers there. But they mentions like what they're doing is supposed to happen. They're branching off a timeline is a necessary fact that's supposed to be on the path. So they're not, you know, disturbing anything. They're actually supposed to be doing that. Like apparently, if they did not do that, then it's like a completely branch off a timeline. Then they probably would have stepped in. But this is, I think, is part of like Doctor Strange's one of his the one win he see out of like 14 million that he foresaw, and it's like this was supposed to be. This is coincided with what he saw. It's like this is supposed to happen because this is how they win. Uh, then Owen Wilson steps in to prevent him from being erased. Then they show him this rundown of like all his like past felons, and then he asks these kind of like, pretty much like an existential questions like, why do you enjoy hurting people? And it's like, of course, Loki gives this kind of spiel. You know, I'm literally just like going off from memory because it's like earlier this morning, and I'm just coming back from work, so it's like I couldn't remember exactly what he's said, but he pretty much just not like feel any kind of like because in terms of Loki's like psyche, it's kind of like he almost like it pushes people away, or like he hurts people to because he's felt lied to all his life. So you know, just his upbringing and he just doesn't feel like, you know, he has, you know, any true friends, at least at this point of Loki's time period. In 2012's version of Loki, he doesn't feel like, you know, at least what you found out is like, you know, he doesn't feel like, okay, at least we'll know on outside looking in, he doesn't feel like he sees himself as like a villain, because he felt like he has to rule. Uh, uh, but then it was like, then what? Okay. It's like, and then he shows him all the pain he caused, like from the Battle of New York and what, because I didn't even notice in Dark World. Cause like I didn't really like Dark World, but he shows him when like Loki tells like one of the Dark Elves like, won't you take stairs to the left, not knowing he led them to his own mother, where he inadvertently caused her death. And like look, and like Tom Hiddleston is a great actor. It's just like that tears he well up and like start welling up. It's like, oh my freaking god, I killed my mother, or I'm going to kill my mother. And it's like he has kind of like love-hate relationship with his mother, and in a way with Thor too, but it's just like he probably the closest one he feels like he wouldn't hurt. If anything, if it was anyone he feels like he wouldn't hurt, it'll be her at the most out of anybody. But he finds a way to like sneak away, because like usually when he try to run or anything like that, they just flip a switch and he like rewinds back in place. They have complete control, because thanks to his collar especially they have him around his neck. But as soon as he grabs one of their controllers from Owen Wilson, Mobius, but I just want to call him Owen Wilson. He's Owen Wilson. He tried to escape, and then he runs to this clerk that he saw at the beginning when they brought him to the TVA, and get him like threatening him. Was like, it was a funny moment. It's like, I'll gut you like a fish. What's a fish? How do you not know what a fish is? It's like I've been behind a desk for all my life. It's like, it means I'll kill you. It's like then he just handed him the Tesseract, and then he looked in his drawer and he's like, different affinity stones. Like, what's all these affinity stones doing in this drawer right here? It's like and it pretty much is like, since they lose this out of time, all the infinity stones does, like, at least these are different sets of infinity stones from another universe that they confiscated. They're just sitting in a drawer, and Kirk was like, yeah, they pretty much are paperweights here, because like, if you know anything about the infinity stones, if they have any major weakness, one of them being is that they don't work outside their own respective universes where they're birthed from. So wherever universe these infinity stones are coming from, they're just dead. They don't do nothing. So a lot of people are like, shocked the fact that they kind of, in a way, feel like they're trivializing the whole Infinity Saga up to this point, because these, space, time, soul, reality, mind, power stones are just like all that stuff that we was experiencing didn't amount to nothing, or at least they've been trivialized to this point. It's like, oh, well, what was the point of all that? But it's just like, it still matters, at least in your particular universe that we've been experiencing throughout this entire 10 years. They still matter because they're still there. It's just these particular ones are from a different universe that we did not experience, and whatever happened to them, that's unknown. But they don't have their Infinity Stone, so. But it's just that you can see the power in this particular pocket universe it has, because like they control time. It's like time is like an all absolute thing. Then eventually, when Loki goes back to the interrogation room where he was speaking with Owen Wilson while they're looking for him in other areas, this is probably my favorite scene throughout the episode, where he fast forwards past Frigga dying to see what else is going on with his life moving forward. You see, like, Ragnarok, we see his father die. you see him patching things up with Thor, and up to the point of in the beginning of the Infinity War, where which I kind of this like if there's at least one con, I wish they put in the part where, because I even forgot about this, everything in the Infinity War and Endgame, I forgot when up to the point when Thanos kills him, which he sees, he calls himself like, I'm Loki, Odin's son. Where when he's brought into the TVA and they, announcing him his proper name, Loki, Laufey's son, but in the proper timeline, he gone through a major growth and found his purpose and acknowledges his what he chooses as his identity. I am Loki, Odin's son. And I kind of like, now I'm thinking about it, because I thought about it all day what I wanted to say in this video, because I'm named after my father, and it's like I don't go by Carl Carlson, and it's like, like a lot of male heirs go by their last, their father's last name, something like something sons like I am Tony Erickson from my father. It's like, or it was like is like Anakin Skywalker, so Luke would have been like Luke Anakin's son. I mean, it sounds more epic when you say it, you know what I mean? But I was like, I don't know why we don't do that. I mean, I like my name, but it's just like, it makes your name sound more of important, and it gives some oomph to it, But it's like when he saw that moment up to the point of his final moments, where not only that he did not achieve his overall goal as like ruling Midgard and Asgard as king, and so it's like his whole goals were never going to be achieved, and it's like he's having this existential crisis, like, okay, my purpose is like what I've been trying to achieve, and like what I'm doing is not meaning nothing, and it won't mean nothing at the end of my life, in which I will die at the hands of a horrible monster. But I don't think he's like focusing on the fact that he died a hero in a way, and he's not focused on the parts that amounted to that moment. He just focused on the moment, and it's like I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that will be brought up, because there's only 6 episodes in this season, and so we got 5 more to go, and I really hope they bring it up at some point, because yeah, I mean, Tom Hiddleston's great. I mean, but then Owen Wilson breaks to and let them know that the people that we need they need his help with in tracking down is Loki himself, some kind of different variant. And I'm wondering if it's because you see like a shadowy or hooded figure at the end killing some more time variants in like Nebraska of 18 something, and stealing one of their little time dispersal units thingies. But it's like, I'm thinking it might be like the female Loki, because like in one of the paperworks is like a little Easter egg. The other people had pointed it out, so I thought that was very, because I overlooked it. I didn't even notice, because it's like blink if you miss it. They have his gender classified as fluid, because mostly he's a shapeshifter. So I'm thinking, because in the comics he's been a woman before and he's been a child before, so I'm wondering that the hooded figure is maybe like a female version of him from a different time, divergent that he's gonna be dealing with. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'm loving this so far. I gotta give it, like, I mean, this episode, the pilot started off so strong. It's like, unlike, the pilots from Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision, uh they had strong pilots too, but this is like on a, you know like a peak immediately. And it's mostly because of the charm of Tom Hiddleston. Like, he embraces this role like no other. It's kind of like with Ryan Reynolds, embracing Deadpool to the fullest. I mean, it's like he loves this character, and we love him in it. And I gotta say, I mean, like, I believe, at least from what I'm saying, as long as they don't drop the ball, like, I don't want to say like the other two dropped the ball in inequality at all, but it's just that there's certain things. It's like, there was like, it's significant to a point of misses in the other two shows. Like I mentioned previously with Sharon Carter and then Quicksilver, is just like, some things felt rushed, and then WandaVision in Falcon Winter Soldier, or at least they didn't fully explain or give the significant time to certain things to flesh out more in Falcon and Winter Soldier. And in WandaVision, they feel like they kind of dropped the ball on like this significant character. And if they didn't cast a specific person and cast like some rando, then I can see why it's like a throwaway person. Like, if it's supposed to be a throwaway thing or a boner joke, then don't cast the same individual. Cast some random person as this significant Marvel character that's supposed to be her brother, at the very least, or just not do it. Don't get people's hopes up like that. But I'm curious, because like I'm pretty sure not only at the end of WandaVision and this show, and then Spider-Man 3, and then Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, all four of these are dealing with multiverses in a major way, or at least it hinted in at the end of WandaVision, where she's going through the Agatha's book, and you hear like her kids crying out in the background, and it's like she's trying to she's messing with reality in a way. And then this show is talking about multiverses, and why the timelines it needs to be important to be on a straight and narrow. I'm surmising that by the end of the series, this will be like the time variance is going to probably be shattered in some way, because I'm curious, like, if the creators of the time variance authority are going to show up at all, like halfway to, or at least towards the end, and like something might happen to them, or they just stopped, like, or they probably died, or they left for some reason and they just going through the motions secretly, or at least they don't know that they these celestial beings that they idolize or count on to keep things trucking along, but they're just not there. They probably haven't been there for centuries or ages since the TVA's creation, and it's like things are going off the rails. And it kind of like would explain like why the multiverses are overlapping in Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange. And then you got Kang the Conqueror is going to show up in like Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 and Quantumania, because he's like deals with time travel. So it's like I imagine whatever's going to happen at the end of Loki will have a significant impact, which would probably result, extend towards Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange and Wanda next time she shows up in Doctor Strange. And then, of course, then you got Kang the Conqueror and Ant-Man 3. So this will probably be the one that's going to have a big significant impact. So if they're playing their cards right, then we'll see, like, because a lot of people question, like, okay, how is this gonna, they're thinking like maybe Doctor Strange will have something to do, which he probably will in a way, but probably not on a scale of what this might end up, bursting into by the end of the series, where it's gonna just like uh after the snap had like some, and then the people returning after Endgame had like a after effects with like you seen in like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Whatever's going to happen in the Loki series with like the time variance, will have some probably after effects that will affect Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and Ant-Man. So that will be something like I'm believing that's going to happen, because we've all been wondering prior to this, like, okay, how is this happening? And it's probably going to be simultaneous, because you got J. Jonah Jameson, that's the same J. Jonah Jameson in the Sam Raimi movies, showing up in Tom Holland's movie. So I imagine it's like, okay, this might be happening simultaneously somehow, or at least, this is probably, well, it's outside of time, but this is 2012 Loki. So whatever's happening here, by the time it's all done, you can see it affecting Spider-Man right away with having J. Jonah Jameson pop in, the same one from Sam Raimi coming into this, and just blended in, and nobody's questioning it, because it's like, how would you know if time being affected at all if it's just like, if I don't know, let's say like because let's say like the whole DB Cooper thing, because they had Loki's being DB Cooper, and he's like, it was like a huge like a bet was going on between him and Thor. It's like, what if in reality, like, oh, DB Cooper never disappeared from that plane. Let's say he was just arrested and carted off to jail from this whole bomb threat he did, and he lived out his sentence and then left prison, died at old age. And that's what if that was like in our reality, that's how it happened, and then somebody told us, no, that's not really how it happened. He's supposed to have been disappeared from that plane. He's somebody interfered of that time. And it's like, what are you talking about? For years, that's how it's gone. And we mean he's supposed to have disappeared. He was in jail this whole time. Can you imagine? That's how I imagine that's how it was. For Spider-Man's, it's like J. Jonah Jameson's always been here. What are you talking about? We mean he didn't exist in this in our world. But leave a comment below. I'm curious to know what you thought of episode 1 of Loki series, and what you expect. What are your guesses of how like the multiverse will, how the time variance, about the time variant creators, and what kind of version of Loki they're dealing with here? Just please leave your guesses and below in the comments below, and I will see you guys next week for the next episode of Loki series. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And follow me on my Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/talkativecarl for other options for reviews that you want me to do. And I will look at them and make it a priority and give you guys a shout out. Of course, Patreon members get early access, that kind of stuff. So see you next time, and be safe, everybody.